What up? It's your boy More Fades checking back in with another haircut tutorial. In today's video, I will be showing y'all how to do a high to mid skin fade step by step. Let's jump right into the tutorial. So since we are not cutting no hair off the top, we really don't need to worry about nothing up here. But just for me to get a little bit more control on the head, I'm just going to wet the hair up a little bit. I'm not going to go to full saturation, just so the hair can be completely like out of my way. Now we are going to be fading, going straight up to the top. I'm not going to clip it or anything, but this is like the natural shape that my client is going to wear his hair. So that's pretty much what I'm trying to establish right away. And we're trying to see how his hair is going to lay when we add product in it at the end. I'm going to be using the Tomb45 clipper, and I am going to be starting off with the 3-guard, and I'm going to start off open. And we're going to take this going all the way up. When you start to get to the top where the hair at, what I like to do, I either like to take the comb, fold the hair back so I won't be cutting it, or I just take it like this, or sometimes I use some clips. But we're just gonna use a comb, get that hair out the way, and we're just gonna start debulking out our area. And this is a 3 open that I am using, and we're taking this going right up. 3 open. And now that I'm getting to the crown area where it's a little bit more heavier at, I don't want to take that all the way up, so I'm just going to scoop right out. I'm really not worrying about no hair that's down here, more so the hair where I'm going to be fading. Because you have to remember, all that hair at the bottom is going to eventually get skinned out and it's going to be bald. Our main focus right now is just debulking out our area so we can start fading into it. This is also the highest guard that I will be using in this fade, so we're just going to scoop right out. I'm not going to take this straight up. I'm going to go in and I'm going to scoop right out. Now we're going to set in our first initial bald guideline. I will be using the Tomb45 trimmer. Now this is important. When you are setting in your bald guideline, you always want to make sure that you are putting this guideline contour to your client's head. So I like to examine the head shape. So as you can see, my client in the back, he have a flat head. So this allows me to set in my bald guideline going straight across if I wanted to, or I can add a little drop and it will still be okay. So them things that you should be paying attention to when setting in your bald guidelines. You know, every haircut you have to tailor it different to every client. But for this one, usually I would start right at the bottom of the vertical bar. I'm just gonna go a little bit under it, and I'm still not gonna go straight across. I'm still going to drop this guideline down just a little bit because we are going to be stretching out this fade, and we're gonna make it nice and stretch. I'm really not a really big fan of tighter blends. I like a nice stretch fade. So that's why we drop the guideline down a little bit. And as we get towards the back, you see me drop the guideline down a little bit more. That gives me enough space to make my guidelines nice and wide, and it give me room to fade. And for the other side, let's just repeat the same exact steps. We usually start it right here, but I dropped it down just a little bit. And we're gonna set in this line, and we're gonna drop it once again. And we're gonna match everything right up in the back. Now for the back, I'm just gonna match everything up all together. Always make sure that this first initial bald guideline is put in nice and straight. Make sure that it's not lopsided. Always check your mirror, because this is one of your most important guidelines that you will set in, and this determines how the rest of your fade will come out looking. So I always like to turn, go right to the mirror just to make sure everything is nice and symmetrical and lining up with each other. Now you should be doing this in your consultation with all your clients. Always ask them, can they take the foil shaver? If a client say, give me a skin fade, just don't assume right away that, all right, cool, I can use the foil shaver on them. You always want to ask, are they allowed to be using the foil shaver? But in this case, my client can go all the way down to the skin, so we will be balding this out and creating my first form of my transition. So I will be using the BLURRIEST Pro UV foil shaver. And with the foil shaver, I always work both sides. So if I'm working in a smaller area, I always like to use just the single side first. Now, I'm always keeping in mind, I don't want to go and hit this line. I want to go right under it. So now you're gonna see me start to scoop right out. When you get down behind the ear, make sure you fold that down. Be very careful, because I have nicked clients right here before. So don't think that this shaver cannot cut people, because it absolutely can. And now since I have a lot more room in the back, now I like to switch and use both sides. Cause now I can cover more of the head, but I'm still flicking right out. All right, let's get into the fade. Picking back up the tombs. We're going no guard open, and we're gonna set in our first initial guideline. And we're gonna go up about 1 inch. Remember, I am stretching out this fade. So we're gonna go up about 1 inch just to give myself some room to fade. And I'm staying consistent with that same bald guideline that I created. And I'm gonna go over it multiple times just to make sure I have it down to its desired length. Then we're gonna come to the back. Now, one thing I notice in the back of the head is always a lot more dense, and sometimes it can be a lot more harder to fade out. So I always like to make the back a little bit more stretch than the sides. So I'm gonna spread the back of this guideline out a little bit more than I would spread the sides, just so I can give myself enough room to fade that out if I'm having problems back there. And we're just gonna come back and we just repeating the same exact steps. We following that same flow that we created with that bald guideline. We keeping everything nice and symmetrical to the head. I use my Tomb45 trimmer. So I will come back and I'm just gonna start to just break the barrier of this line a little bit, just to soften it up. So we're just gonna just gradually just tap at it. Light touch, you really don't gotta put a lot of pressure down, and all we're doing is just breaking that barrier. And we're just gonna do this going all the way around the head. I know some beginner barbers, they try to take out their bald guidelines and your tools is not even gapped. If your clipper is not gapped, you are gonna have a very, very hard time removing this bald guideline. How I like to remove my line, I like to start all the way closed in the lever, and I start to just tap at the line. So we're gonna tap at it, and you're gonna start to see my line shift up for me. Once you see that line shift, open up your lever 1 notch and start to tap at that line. When you are doing this, I'm really not using the full blade. I'm using the corners or just half of the blade. You see me just tapping at it. Now we're gonna go halfway in the lever. Now when you are halfway in the lever, your line should be completely out. We're gonna repeat the same exact thing for the back. All the way close. We're gonna tap at that line. Once you see that line up that lever 1 notch and tap at that line. Now, once you are halfway in the lever, your line should be completely faded out. I really do not like to move on to the next step until this line is completely gone. I'm not gonna get too frustrated over it. I learned how to just move on in my fades and just come back and just detail once everything is done. But this bottom line, for me to move on to the next step, it has to be completely erased. And just look how fast that I am erasing this line. It's dummy proof. All the way close. We just tapping at it. Open up the lever 1 notch, and we just tapping at this line now. And it's slowly just fading away, slowly but surely. And one thing about this cutting hair thing, man, it takes time. Enjoy the process of the fade, man. Don't ever try to rush a fade. Enjoy the process. The next guideline, we will be using the 1 guard. And I'm going to start all the way close. Now, on my YouTube channel, I get a lot of comments saying, why do you always start closed instead of open? And I'm gonna tell you why. I feel like starting open is completely pointless to me. So I am open right now. I'm setting in the first line and I am open. How I fade with my system, I'm going to come back closed and I'm going to come right back through this guideline either way. Why would I start open when I'm just gonna close it anyways and come right back and just do the same thing that I just did? So that's why, me personally, I like starting close, because it's just saving me a little bit more time. So you can start open or you can start closed. It really don't matter, man. Whatever fits your system the best. But we are going to just go over this multiple times to make sure that we really have it down to that desired length. And we're just gonna follow this guideline going straight through the head. Remember, in the back, we brought it up just a little bit more, and we are going to get ready to take this line out. Just stay consistent. Stay consistent with them lines. Stay consistent with your guidelines. Enjoy the fade, man. Enjoy the process of giving out a McBlurry. So I'm going to go with the 1.5, and now I'm going to start to soften up this line. Now with this motion, I don't want to take this 1.5 all the way up here. I want to try to fade into it. So now you're gonna see me do more of like a feather scoop motion. And we are open. We're going in, and we are going to scoop right out. We are scooping because we are not trying to create another line. We really want to blend right into it. Now we're gonna close the lever up all the way. And now our main focus is just hitting that line. We don't wanna take it any higher. Now I know in my head that this 1.5 close is not going to remove this line completely. All we are doing is softening this line up. That's all we're doing. We're just gonna soften it up. Scooping in, scooping out. Now the main focus is just hitting the very bottom of that line, and it should lighten up for you. I'm gonna repeat the same exact steps. Now I'm gonna switch over to my comb because now I am dealing where this is where it's gonna be a comb over. So I do not wanna take this too high at all. There we go. Now we're gonna close it. Now we're gonna throw in the 1 guard, and now we are about to remove this line at the top. So I'm gonna start open. Now you have to remember, when you are opened up, you can go a little bit higher in the line. When you start to close up the lever, that's when you have to go a little bit lower. Still keep your scoop out motion, use the corner of the blade. So now I'm gonna go halfway. So now I'm not going to go up as high as I just was with the lever all the way open. So you can slowly start to see that line is starting to disappear. Now we're gonna go all the way closed. Now we should be at the very bottom of that line. Continue using them corners. Once it lighten up, go halfway in the lever. Now we're gonna close up all the way. And it's just starting to slowly go away. Go halfway. We slowly just taking out that line. Now we're gonna go all the way close. See how I'm just attacking them corners? So now to remove the rest of this line, we're just gonna come back with no guard open, using the corners, the last 3 teeth of the blade, starting open, and we're gonna start to remove that line. Still open, just using the corner of the blade. We're gonna open up the lever 1 notch. We're not gonna go right to halfway. And all them little darker spots that we see, we're just gonna attack them, and we're just gonna take them right out. If you need to go up a little bit higher in the fade, just open up the lever. But you can already see that my blend is pretty much starting to come to life.
How you gonna get a haircut and then ditch your barber?
The minute you start closing, you need to go down a little bit lower. If you all the way close, you need to be at the very bottom of that line. You cannot be up here because you will start to put patches in the client head. So just be very, very aware of that. And remember, you're gonna come back and you're gonna detail later. So just don't get stuck on one side trying to fade that forever. We're just utilizing the corner of that blade. If nothing is happening, nothing is cutting, open up the lever 1 notch, and we just attacking them darker spots in the fade, trying to remove this line. All right, now we're just gonna fade out this last little part that's back here. Just gonna bring everything all together. And if we had to detail anything up in this fade, we will. This little piece of hair right here, that gotta go. So we're just gonna slowly just blend that out, just like that. We are gonna knock down the front edge. We're gonna use the 1.5, and we are gonna be going against the grain with it. If I was to come down with the grain on this hair type, nothing would not cut. So we are gonna just stay open. We don't wanna make it any lighter. All right, so you seen my client was sweating a little bit. That's okay, that's why we prep lineups. So I'm just gonna be using just some alcohol, and we are going to rub this all across his front edge. And all this alcohol doing is just removing dirt and oil off of the skin. Then you can come back with any hoe and spray of your kind, and we're just gonna mist it around the front edge. The Tomb45 blow dryer. We are gonna be using cold air. You want to use cold air because you want to freeze the hair in place. Now we're gonna start to line him up. The vertical bars first. I like to keep everything nice and natural. And then I like to come and line up the other vertical bar. Keeping everything nice and natural. I always like to start on the side. I always like to start on the weakest side of the edge. So looking at my client straight on, I can see this side go up a little bit higher than this side. So this is the side that I am going to start on. I'm going to start on the side that goes up a little bit higher. So we are going to start dead smack right in the middle. And we are going to line up this side first. Now I'm not going to rush this line. I'm going to take my time when lining him up. And I'm gonna show you a very, very important part of this lineup. So when you start to get to the corner of the edge, if you just come in and you make this like super round and not pointy, it's gonna make your edge look like it's not standing up, and that can result in not making your lineup look sharp. So when you get in and you start to go to the corners, you want to angle this blade in and pop out that corner. You gotta dig in there, but don't push them back. Just dig in there. and you want to pop that corner completely out. You almost want this to look like a 90-degree angle. I always like to style my client's hair, and I'm gonna be using the Tomb45 OG indestructible clay. That's really all you need. And you just massage it through your client's hair. And we still want this little pump action going, so we are going to scoop it right up. And just to let everything sit in there nice and pretty, it's gonna come back with a little bit of hoe spray. So I will be using my Tomb45 Turkish razor. The color I will be using is the blue. Y'all can see I retired my pink one, the one that I named Pink Panther. So now we gotta come up with a new name for this one. And all we're doing is just bringing everything right back to the line with the razor, just to clean up all the stubble that's at the bottom of the line. How'd that look?
Clean.
Did I do a good job?
Oh yeah.
Am I fired?
More than fired. You're burning.
Everything look clean?
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Oh yeah, I'm happy.
Are your expectations met?
Overmet.
They overmet?
Yeah, overmet.
All right, cool.